Hi San Diego, hi Build Peace. Unfortunately I can't be there with you, so I'm speaking to you from Berlin. And today I'm going to speak about how we use virtual reality for peace building. So I'm going to give some examples of our work and walk you through that. So first of all, I'm a co-founder at Now Here Media. We are an immersive storytelling studio in Berlin, and we mainly look at contemporary issues through a critical lens. The first project we did I want to speak about today is Peace VR. Peace VR is a project we did in 2016 where we were invited by ELVA and funded by the European Union to do a peace building workshop for youngsters in different regions who are at odds with each other in the Caucasus. So we had people from South Ossetia, from Armenia, from Georgia, from Azerbaijan, and got them all together to develop small 360 narratives in which they could see the other reality. So the idea was that they create by themselves their own little experiences which allow others to see how it is across the border. Since they are not able to cross the border, that was a way for them to have an exchange in perspective. Last year we concluded a much larger project called Home After War, in which we were working with the Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Demining, so an organization that removes mines and IEDs globally, in order to create an experience to really raise awareness for the issue of booby-trapped homes. So I will start by showing you the trailer to this experience.
You know, our house is our home. When ISIS came here, I heard fighting between them and the security forces. Bombs were falling from planes. We took the car and fled. We said that we are going home even if that meant we had to live on the rubble, because we were fed up with being strangers. We heard that there were houses where the electricity was booby-trapped. If you see a bomb, you would usually recognize it. But this stuff is new. They were my wings.
So in Iraq, the main fighting has ended, and with ISIS retreating from a lot of areas, IDPs, so internally displaced people, are able to come back home. And for them, going home is a really ambivalent feeling because they don't know if it's secure or not. So of course they're happy to go home, but they're not sure if their house could be also one of those who have been booby-trapped. To really tell the story and tell this challenge, it was crucial for us to allow an audience to really visit a house in Fallujah and be able to walk around there, experience the place, and also meet our protagonist there. Initially we did a lot of research to see whom we could speak to, who would be fitting for the story, and there were unfortunately many people who were victims of such incidents. We had the choice between many different potential collaborators and protagonists in this, and we were then very happy to find Ahmed and his family, since he was very open from the beginning and really wanted to tell his story and really work with us in explaining the world their situation. So moving in Iraq, security is always a major challenge. So we were, for the most part, accompanied by the Iraqi army, but also by different local militias, depending on the areas we were working in. So the good thing in this was that the topic itself was not something that was controversial for them, so we could really work freely. The key to this was really having a trustworthy team, local team. So having locals we could trust on the ground was absolutely crucial for this to happen, and I guess that's something to work in a lot of these environments where this is really necessary and helpful. So we were staying in Baghdad but working in Fallujah, which meant we had to travel a long distance throughout the day to get to these places. This was challenging, crossing a lot of different checkpoints, always with suspicious looking equipment. Yeah, so there was a lot of explaining to be done on behalf of our producer and also on our behalf. Explaining the technology is always a major thing when working with VR, especially in areas where people are not used to VR at all, so that's really important for us to explain people what we do. Especially since we were using photogrammetry. Photogrammetry is a method where you take a lot of photos of an environment in order to create it later in 3D. And this allows our audience to really walk through the environment and experience the space as if they were there. But it also means that you really need to explain that to the people you're working with, since how do you explain that you spent, I don't know, half an hour in their living room without them in there just taking photos? So in order to get our protagonist in the scene, we were filming him with a stereo camera set in front of a green screen, and then you could key him out later in post-production and place him in the environment so that he leads the audience through his house, and by doing so through his story. For the premiere at the Venice Biennale, we were able to build a multisensorial installation, so an installation that works with smell as well as sound and haptics, and that creates a transition between the real and the virtual by having already a set design that reminds the audience of the place they're going to be visiting in VR. And this transition can be really helpful, and they are working with GICHD, which is also really nice because we did have actual D-miners outside the experience explaining the audience their work and what they do. So working in VR is a lot of teamwork. So you need a lot of different teams that can work together, that can understand each other, and for all this to function, it's really crucial for us to develop a common language. We were lucky that Home After War won a bunch of awards, and we were able to show it at over 30 festivals. But when it comes to impact in terms of peace building, there was nothing more important than showing it at the United Nations. We were able to show it 3 times at the UN, twice in Geneva, and then for over 6 weeks in New York. And during that time we got a lot of diplomats and decision makers to see the piece and really have impact on the ground, because for them often what we heard is that they are, even if they go to places like Fallujah, they are in a convoy of many vehicles and they don't get to stop and really understand the situation, how it is for individuals on the ground. They might know all the data, but maybe lack the emotional connection to the locals. And we were very happy that we were able to do that. I'm just going to leave you now with some impressions of UN diplomats after they have seen Home After War.
So real. Like, you cannot replicate this through like PowerPoint slides or a chalkboard or note cards. And for me, it was real.
I will grab everybody I can possibly get to come and see it. And I only wish, as a teacher, that my students could all experience that, because I think if they could, they would see things in a whole new light.
To actually be in those spaces and to physically be there and emotionally be there is yeah, I've never experienced anything like it. I mean,
really, really clever way to just, you know, shake you a little bit and make you realise that, you know, I mean, it's probably the closest we're ever going to come to being able to actually experience what it's like, and I thought it was a really clever way of doing it.
Oh, it was really, really powerful. I mean, I kind of could have imagined what could have been inside, but being inside and feeling and living this experience, it's just amazing. Actually, kind of, I'm speechless.
In a force. Stop waging war and peace to the world.
Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can write me on my email. Thank you. Bye-bye.